as your assessment in this topic, you're going to be doing a research task. And the research task is going to involve looking at the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, as it is called. Also called the novel coronavirus, novel from the Latin and Greek meaning new. There have been other coronaviruses that are around, but this is a new coronavirus. It was first mapped, it was first detected in December 2019 in Wuhan in China, and from there has gone out. The outbreak has gone out and spread throughout the world to now somewhere around 200, maybe even more places or countries, territories around the globe. So this is an opportunity for us to do some real scientific research, or research, not as in scientific investigation, but research based on current data. This is very, very current data, because all the good data only comes from around, at the earliest, January this year. We're now in September, so January to March when it really started to get data and information and research going on it. So we are at the pointy edge of the wave. You'll be able to find the latest and current research and data that is available. In 8.1, in the last section, last topic, we looked at the body systems and how they work, and they work interdependently with one another. And in this section, we're looking at any malfunctions or diseases of the body systems, which ones have which diseases. In 8.1, we did bacterial infection, and we look at the immune system and how the immune system develops immunities to various pathogens and diseases. In 8.1 it was bacteria. In 8.2 it's other sources of infection. You really do need to understand how vaccines work and how the immune system works in the body, the lines of defense of the body and the immune system, and how, if an infection gets in, how the immune system works, how it develops an antibody towards a particular pathogen or infection and fights it. And then this is done in the lymph system, and the lymph system sends liquid and antibodies around the body to fight infection, called lymphocytes. And there will be memory lymphocytes that once they have fought one type of infection, it is memorized, and if that infection ever comes back, the body has antibodies to fight that. Vaccines work on stimulating the immune system to fight an infection. Vaccines put in the dead or the dormant part of the infection of the virus to get the body to develop antibodies towards it and memory lymphocytes, so that when it comes back you are immune to it, because your body already has it. And that's why vaccines are important. That's how they work, that's why they work, and they work effectively well. But we've got another source of infection. This is a once in 100-year type infection. It's a viral infection. It's a virus called the COVID-19, or the novel coronavirus. And you're going to investigate it. You're going to research what work is going on, what scientific endeavours are being put towards this virus. And this is going to be your assessment for this topic. So let's have a look at where we're going to go and what we're going to do. Once you're in your class page, you then come to disease, and then this is in 8.2, other sources of infection. You can scroll down and you will see on the right hand side here there are files. There are various links that are here that will take you to sites. We'll talk about those in a minute. But let's go to the task. Infectious diseases. Infectious diseases research task. It's for you. We'll click on that, and that will bring up this document, which is your document. Here it is. Your task is to investigate the novel corona COVID-19 virus and its overall impact on one or more systems of the human body, and produce an electronic, that means online, scientific presentation that should include the 4 areas outlined below. Okay, so you can choose to present it, but you've got to have this information. Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D. Right, Part A, you can see there, it's an introduction. What is the disease? Which body system does it affect? And give it its common names, its scientific names as well. The recent history of it, right? Where it's come from, where it was where it was discovered, and how it spread. The distribution here, map or list. You will be able to see that there are some sites that have that, and you'll be able to download that. Causes. What causes it? So you're going to investigate causes. The symptoms. Describe not only the symptoms, but on which system, which body system it has an impact. This is a respiratory disease. This virus that attacks the respiratory system. So how does it attack it? What does it do? What are the symptoms that you've got it? Don't forget also, people who are vulnerable are generally of 2 types. Older people who have reduced immunity, reduced immune systems later in life, and people who have pre-existing conditions, or what's called comorbidities in scientific terms. That means and examples are diabetes, morbid obesity, that means really overweight, cardiovascular conditions, and respiratory conditions, breathing conditions, nasal conditions. They are susceptible to the virus. They are vulnerable. How and why are they vulnerable? And often the virus will come in and attack the respiratory system, but because you've got a compromised or a much weakened immune system, then the body is then weaker and unable to fight other types of infection which are bacterial and come in and affect other systems. So that's one of the results of that. People will often die with coronavirus, but it's allowed something else to come in and really affect them in a way that it wouldn't have if they hadn't got the virus. So you need to have a look at that. Right. How is it transmitted? How does it go from one person to the other? Why is it that we need to take these precautions? Why are we all stuck inside and not allowed to go to work or go to school? Why have we got to wear a mask? Why have we got to keep 1.5 metres apart, socially distanced? Why have we got to keep doing hygiene, which we should have been doing anyway, regular hygiene? Why is all that important? Why is it important? Why do we have these regulations now imposed upon us? Then in the next part, look at all the work that's being done on the virus, the therapeutics endeavours, the scientific endeavours in the areas of testing. Not therapeutics, but testing. Prior to February, there was no test for this virus. So within a few short weeks, there were tests developed. Within months, there were better tests developed. Originally, you had to wait 2 or 3 days for the results to come through. Now, some of the latest tests can get results within 15 minutes. All that is the work of scientists and researchers doing work. Good scientific work. And steps to prevent the virus and to prevent the spread of it. How did we know how to prevent the spread of it? Remember in 8.1 we looked at where when you sneeze, the droplets and the mucus comes out of your mouth at 160 k's per hour. So it's going to go a fair way. Look at the reasons why we are having to wear masks. And any treatment about treatment and prevention, that would mean current treatments. There have been controversial ones, remdesivir and hydroxychloroquine and whatnot. Look at, see what tests have shown if they've worked or haven't worked. Look at the scientific data, not just an opinion, but the scientific data on why they have or are not recommended by various health authorities. Involve yourself in it, have a look at it, see what it is. And then the status of vaccinations, see where it is now. Some vaccinations have taken between 4 to 20 years to get to. Measles took that long to get a vaccination for it. This one, once it was mapped, genome mapped in January or February, it's possible to have one by October, a vaccine, or later in the year or early next year. That is phenomenal in scientific and human terms. So have a look and see what that situation is and where the research is being done and who's doing it. Government or private companies or whoever. Look at it and see who's doing it. Then, as with all good scientific work, you're going to reference it properly and have a bibliography. It's included here. Your diary, your school diary, on about 62 to 68, 69, has pages and ways to reference books, encyclopedias, online, the whole lot. And we've also included here a link to the library homepage because there's an online reference system, and that link will bring you to this, and then you'll be able to click on the online referencing tool. The online referencing tool. It wants to come up, it doesn't want to come up. There it is, and you obviously take the middle school one, and away you will go for the various ways to reference your work. As well, Miss Elliott has put in an excellent video there on how to use that. So you can access that straight out of the assignment. It comes back up for us. We're going to be looking at around 1,000 words, say 850, 1,000 words, not including the bibliography, the content here, the content, 850 to 1,000 approximately. In any way that you want to, PowerPoint, Google Slides, Prezi, whatever one that you choose to use, whatever one you're comfortable with. You want to make a YouTube video, those sort of things. There's some examples, by no means the only examples to present it. You can narrate it, you can do what you need to do, present it visually, as long as you've got the information in there and you've got it referenced. You've got it referenced. That's the key to it. Don't try to pass off opinion as scientific data. If you're going to quote a politician, that's fine. Say who it is and say who he represents or she represents and what they're basing their opinion on. If it's a researcher, then say who they represent and what they're basing it on. If it's an opinion piece by a journalist, identify that. Use whatever resources you want to, just identify them accurately as to what they are. Remember, the job of the scientist is to research and explain what is happening, why it's happening, and then improve. That's the job. The job. Always. Never forget it. As well, in our site here on our 8.2, as well as the actual disease task, we've put in some sites that you could have a look at. And they're excellent sites. You can go through these. I'll just go through one or two. Johns Hopkins Hospital Research Center in America is one of the leading research institutes in the world. And you can see that there will be lots of information. When you are looking at a site, if someone has got an article, check to see who it is. What are their credentials? This person here, Lauren, M. Sauer. She's an assistant professor of emergency medicine, so she's obviously got a fair bit. What's she done? This is her background. Degrees, three degrees. This is what she's published in the way of scientific work. She is more than well qualified. If you're going to quote her, that's fine. Make sure that you do reference it, attribute it to her. If it's, don't try to pass it off as your work. So there is someone who's well qualified. All these more other places here. World Health Organization is an excellent one. New South Wales Health Department is a very good site. It's our largest health department, obviously, being in New South Wales. And it's got lots and lots of information in there. And you'll notice that you come down to the bottom of it here. Another thing you should take notice of is here. It's updated Thursday the 10th of September, which was yesterday. So that is excellent there. So have a look at that. And there are other sites there as well. They have been put there for you to have a look at. There they are. You can go through those and have a look at those. As well as those ones, there are also these links here. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control in America, is one of the leading research institutes in diseases in the world. So it's worth checking out there. The CSIRO is Australia's own Commonwealth Scientific, Industrial and Research Organisations, publicly funded, and it also has excellent resources. Australian Academy of Science, and so on and so on. So there are many places for you to go and look at, many sites for you to look at. Make sure that you do correct referencing. Don't try to pass off someone else's work as yours. It's really obvious in Year 9, especially when not many of us in the world now know much about COVID-19. As long as you are presenting someone's research as their research, you are more than allowed and capable of putting an opinion on it, as long as you distinguish opinion from data and fact. And one that I did want to show you about getting information and numbers and so on is this one here, the Worldometers one. This one has excellent data and figures. You can see here, this is the number. This was updated September 11th, and that's Greenwich Mean Time, which is European English time. And this many cases, this many deaths, this many recovered. And it gives you excellent data. You can see when January, when there's hardly any, now it's gone up, tapering off. And it gives you data for all countries, everywhere. Lots and lots of good data. So there you go. There's plenty of those places to have a look at. There's plenty of information there. Go about and research it. Make sure you present your work present your work in the format you choose, and properly reference it and show whose data and whose work that it is when you are presenting it. And you'll get very high marks. Okay? Best of luck with it. Thanks, fellas.